What we're going to do in this lesson today is we are going to, at last, get our fretting hand involved, holding some strings up here. And as a nice gentle introduction to fretting strings, we're not going to do anything too complicated. As a matter of fact, we're only going to use one finger fretting, just to get an understanding of how to do it and how, you know, holding strings with our other hand can make different sounds on the banjo. So when you obviously play the banjo as it is open, you know, we are blessed as banjo players with standard open G tuning. And what that means is the strings are tuned in such a way that each note sounds pleasing to our ears. And when you play a collection of notes all together at the same time, that sounds nice to your ears. It's called a chord. Now, the banjo is tuned to standard open G, which means straight out of the box, we play a G chord. Now, I won't go too much into chords because that requires more than one finger, but we will do chords a little bit further down the line. But for now, we're just going to understand how fretting works and how it affects the tone of each string. Now, just because we fret a string doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to play a nice tone that's pleasing to our ears. So I'll just use one finger at the moment and I'll fret the first string at the first fret. And just tell me what you think about this sound. Sounds a bit weird, doesn't it? A bit off. Whereas if I play it open, it's a totally different sound, isn't it? You know, that one, if you had to describe it as an emotion, let's just say, sounds almost worrisome. A bit mysterious, a bit weird, a bit unsettling, like something's going to happen. Whereas if I play it open, it sounds rich, full-bodied, bold, happy. Do you know what I mean? It's funny how one finger on one string can make such a difference to the banjo. And like I said, we're blessed with open G, which means, you know, if this was a guitar, to play a G chord, I'd need 4 fingers holding quite a complicated chord position just to play the G chord. But with a banjo, we are blessed. We don't have to do anything. Now, there's obviously pros and cons to that. The benefit is we can play a chord without holding the strings. And the negative to that, really, it's not something that you need to worry about right now, but what you tend to find is a lot of your songs start sounding a little bit the same because we're playing in what's called the key of G. So every song is in the key of G because we're in standard open G. But we can worry about that a bit further down the line. The whole goal of this series is to get us comfortable and confident as beginner banjo players and playing our first tunes on the banjo in a relaxed way with a glass of wine or a glass of beer or a cup of coffee, whatever your favourite drink is to relax and enjoy playing and learning the banjo. So on that note, this wouldn't be called Banjo and a Beer without this week's beer of the week, which is Whitstable Bay. I'm getting Greek vibes with this one. I like the blue and white stripes. It says crisp and refreshing pale ale. It's just 4%. It says this thirst-quenching pale ale is inspired by the brisk walks along the beach past the iconic Old Neptune pub and is crafted using aromatic Challenger Golding hops, delivering a fruity and refreshing taste. I'm feeling a bit fruity today, so let's see how this one fares in this week's beer of choice. No pop. Usually the lids go flying off. Quite dramatic. No pop today. It's quite a light colour, this one. I'm quite looking forward to this. It's not as dark as the last one. The last one was called Old Peculiar and it was as dark as Coca-Cola. This one looks all right to me. So, as always, in true Banjo Adventures fashion, I'd like to raise a glass to all my beginner banjo players out there in the world, learning how to play this amazing instrument together. Cheers to you, and good days, good health, yeah. That is refreshing, light and fruity. It's almost like a lager, actually. If it tips over, it's fine. Fish can have it. So as always, you know, make sure you're tuned up, standard open G tuning. So then, as we explored there, what I will do, I'll come a bit closer just to show you the proper fretting technique. And then from there, we'll just start exploring different sounds on different strings. So obviously we're up the neck of the banjo now. And you'll notice you've got these spaces here. These are called frets. And then you've got the wire that goes across. That's called your fret wire. Now a lot of the action on the banjo happens within these first 5 frets. So you've got fret 1, fret 2, 3, 4, and 5. When we start holding chord shapes, you can play most of the chords up to that 5th fret. I mean, you can go a lot further down, but a lot of beginner-friendly songs only need to happen within these first 5 frets, which is great news for us as beginner players. Now, when you fret a string, what you're essentially doing is, at the moment, the string is caught on this nut here. So when you pluck a string, it's vibrating from the nut there all the way to the bridge there. And that's what gives the string its iconic sound. So by fretting a string, what we're doing, we're essentially cutting the string off and making it shorter. So by pressing down on the fret, not on the fret wire, we don't press down there, just by pressing down on the fret itself, what we're doing now is reducing the length of the string from here to there. So now the string is only vibrating from this wire here down to the bridge. And we do that by pushing the string down to the fretboard. Now the best place to fret a string is going to be just behind the fret wire, so there. So you don't really want to be up here or in the middle, you want to be just behind the wire, so you get a nice clean cut off of the string. So if I pluck this string open, this is string 1, and if I fret the string by pushing it down, you get a different tone. If I move along, do the same string again on the 2nd fret, and then obviously keep going along, you get different sounds. So that is the correct technique for fretting strings. You can use your index finger, you can use your middle finger. So if I hold my banjo like a baseball bat like this, when I fret a string, my finger's going to be at an angle. So as I'm trying to fret the 2nd string at the 1st fret there, my finger is almost, the pad of my finger is actually muting the 1st string. So I'm not getting a nice clean chord when I strum. So a way to get around that is not to hold your banjo neck like a baseball bat, but to arch your wrist round and get your thumb more behind like that. So now when I fret the strings, I'm attacking from top down rather than being at an angle like this. I am now top down. So you get nice, clean, crisp fretting. And then a bit later on, when we start doing chords, we'll just tackle each chord shape individually. But all a chord is, it's when you fret one or more strings, and then you play all the strings at once, and it creates different sounds which are pleasing to our ears. Okay, now that we understand how to fret chords, let's start exploring some of the notes. I'm sure that we'll all agree that music has the ability to make us laugh, make us cry, relieve stress. You know, it gets us through the tough times, it elevates parties, it gets us dancing. The power of music is unbelievable. And to be able to harness that power and to be able to generate that kind of emotional feeling for yourself by playing the banjo is going to be a lifelong skill, and it's going to be something that you're going to treasure forever. And I always say that music is one of the best gifts that you could give to yourself. Just being able to sit down and relax, just to play a handful of songs, just to unwind after a stressful day. It is something else, and I'm so glad that I can share that with you and hopefully teach you how to do it with confidence and with, you know, clarity with these lessons. Now, saying that, you know, let's just take for example, so me personally, I am approaching 40, not quite there yet, but I'm getting close. So I am what you would consider to be a millennial, yeah? Which means obviously I grew up in the 90s, became a teenager in the noughties, and for me, growing up, I kind of deviated towards the rock music, punk rock, heavy metal, that kind of scene. I was a skateboarder in my days. And there are some songs in my sort of generation where even just hearing the first 4 notes can just spark memories of times gone by, of friends who've come and gone. And just to give that as an example, you know, like if you are roughly my age, you'll hear these notes now. Now, if you know the song, you'll know what I mean. Maybe that might send you back to a festival that you've been to, or it might take you back to a house party, or you might have watched a certain band live with a group of friends and it's a core memory that's maybe just unlocked for you again just now. Yeah, that's the power of music. And let's go back another generation, you know, Generation X, people who grew up in the 80s and 70s. You might hear, you know, these 4 notes. You know, that might spark other memories for you, whether you think he's innocent or not. That's a different question altogether, but it's the music, isn't it? You hear those notes, just something as simple as 4 notes, and, you know, it takes you back to memories, times gone by, loved ones, family, relatives. The reason why I'm saying all this is because even just playing notes on the banjo can create emotions of pleasure, emotions of worry, unsettling, or just grimace, you know, something just doesn't sound right. So what I'm going to do is explore a selection of notes on the banjo, just using one finger. And we're just going to make a mental note of what sounds good, what sounds wrong, what sounds nice, do you know what I mean? And what we'll do is we'll just use those notes to create music. So by now, we should be able to strike each of the 4 strings confidently. 1, 2, 3, 4. And to really emphasize what I'm about to teach you is with each note that we explore on the fretboard, we're just going to hum that note back to yourself. And if it sounds rubbish, we'll just disregard it. We won't play that note again. But if it sounds good and it sounds nice, we'll make a mental note and we'll keep hold of that note. So one finger, first string, first fret. Let's just play a bum ditty on that note and see what it sounds like. Okay, let's move on to string 2 on the first fret. You can see now why I really stress the importance of not having to look at your frailing hand, because now we're getting our left hand involved. We don't want to be looking down here, you know, we want to be looking really up here. Or if you get super confident, you don't have to look anywhere. You can look straight ahead and fret and let these 2 hands work independently. Okay, so let's move on to the third string at the first fret. Okay, 4th string at the first fret. Okay, so let's go back to the first string. Let's listen to that again. Now to me that sounds off. Doesn't quite sound right, because if you compare that to the 2nd string, that sounds more nice, doesn't it? To me that sounds like, that sounds quite magical in a way. Middle string at the first fret. I'd put that in the same bucket as the first string. That sounds a bit off, doesn't it? First string, middle string. I'd say that sounds a bit weird, a bit off. Let's try the 4th string. The 4th string doesn't sound too bad as well. But definitely the second string sounds great. So what I'll do now is just play a bum ditty on all 4 strings. And then at some point just include that 2nd string at the 1st fret. Try alternating between strings 1 and 2. Just keep your finger on the 2nd string at the 1st fret. release it. All this is about is exploring how each string sounds and getting comfortable fretting strings and having two hands working together now. Okay, so now we've explored the first fret, let's just do exactly the same thing again on the second fret. And one thing I forgot to mention as well then is, as you are exploring the nice sounding notes, you know, hum them back to yourself, so. You know. And by doing that, I know it might look a bit weird, but by humming, you know, the sounds back to yourself, you start building a connection between your brain, your voice, your banjo, your body, your mind, and you start developing what's called the musical ear. And eventually, when you start understanding what each of the notes sounds like, you start playing songs by ear. So just work on strings 1 to 4 and then include that second string, but hum each of the notes back to yourself. Starting to feel a little bit musical now, isn't it? Right, let's move on to the second fret. We're going to do exactly the same again. We'll just play for each individual string fretted on the second fret, just to get an idea of what sounds good, what sounds a bit off. That sounds all right, doesn't it? That sounds quite happy, that. Okay, second string, second fret. You see that? You see the difference there? That's the second string, first fret. Sounds happy, sounds like a nice, happy day. And that sounds like you've just received a brown envelope through the post box, doesn't it? Oh, bloody hell, council tax, ruined my day. Sounds like a teenager, doesn't it? I'm bored. So first string, second fret, happy days. Brown envelope through the post, it's just ruined my day. Let's keep on moving down. So the middle string, second fret, how does that one sound? Ooh, that's pleasant, isn't it? Let's do the fourth string, second fret. Oh yeah. Right, so I think we can all agree we can just scrap the second string at the second fret. We don't like that one, do we? Okay, so that leaves us with the first string and then the middle and fourth strings. Again, let's just bum ditty on them, sing the notes back to yourself, and this is all about exploration. What we tend to do and tend to forget as grown-ups is we get so focused on instructions, processes, systems, and you know, being told what to do, don't want to make mistakes. We forget about exploration, having fun, making mistakes, and just being playful and almost childlike again. And that's what this is all about. You know, each of these notes probably has a letter assigned to it that some academic scientist has put together to create music theory. And in my opinion, that just completely strips away the emotional side of it. You know, how does it make you feel? Yeah, it might be called E sharp or whatever. Who cares, you know, it sounds like a brown envelope coming through the letterbox to me. And obviously I'm just like disregarding a lot of stuff that is quite important to learning the banjo, but at this stage now, we are just wanting to explore, have fun, not take it too seriously, and ultimately we want to score that early emotional win of just being able to play a song and just being able to sort of improvise and just have fun and explore and discover the banjo as we go along. So I'll cheers to that. That's another one. I'm having a great day, by the way. We had loads of rain yesterday and I was like, oh, I just wanted to go out and get my next episode done, but sun's out again, a bit windy, a bit cold, but it's fine. You know what would be awesome as well? The one thing I kindly ask is that you just give it a like. And if you haven't already, subscribe, you can go onto my website, banjoadventures.com, click on Start Here, scroll down a little bit, and click on where it says Learn Banjo Now. And all this full series, I put it all together as a mini course, a free mini course, where you can just watch it directly from my website, and it'll be free from adverts. So if you enjoyed like the play along exercises, you can do the exercises without interruption, without any adverts cutting you off, and it's a more relaxed, pleasurable sort of viewing experience. Right, so we're scrapping away the second string at the second fret because it sounds a bit rubbish, doesn't it? Right, so let's hum these notes back to ourselves. Let's see what they sound like. First string open. Let's go for middle string fretted. Excuse me. Middle string open. Let's go for the fourth string. So fourth string open. Fretted. So by now, let's just count up all the notes that we've got. So we've got strings 1 to 4 open, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we've got the second string at the first fret, so that's 5. Then we've got 6, 7, 8. So we've unlocked 8 really great sounding notes there. So what I'd suggest you do is just have a play around just within those 2 frets there for the time being, and just explore and have fun with it. Hum the notes back to yourself just to build up that musical ear, and just play a selection of open notes. And if you find it difficult to remember which of the notes we agreed were nice sounding, maybe just write a little notebook, just saying the second string at the first fret sounds great. Avoid, the second string at the second fret, because I don't like that one for now. So you can keep like a little notebook of all the notes that sound great. And like I said, just start with one finger, or maybe, use your index and middle finger if you find it easy to switch between the two. And just do something like this. And if you're feeling really adventurous, why not just start saying some words while you do it? I'm in the woods today. I'm having a cold beer with you. I'm having so much fun in the wind, in the woods today. And dare I say it, that's starting to sound a little bit like music to me. I don't know about you, but to me that's sounding like we're actually playing music on the banjo. Right, let's keep on going, shall we? Let's just start on the third fret. So exactly the same thing again. First string fretted at the third fret. Let's see how it sounds. Oh, listen to that. That sounds bluesy, that, doesn't it? Yeah, I like that one. Right, let's go for the second string at the third fret. Wow, that sounds... That sounds quite haunting, that, doesn't it? Let's go for the middle string at the 3rd fret. Oh, that's bluesy, you know. Yeah. So let's keep going actually, we'll come back to it. 4th string at the 3rd fret. So I think the 3rd fret there, it's probably largely considered the bluesy chord, you know. Oh, we can have a lot of fun with the 3rd fret, can't we? To me, it sounds like all of the strings on the 3rd fret work. Right, so if all of the strings on the 3rd fret work, that means we've got another 4 notes there at our disposal that we can have a lot of fun with. So remember, we had the 8 notes, 4 open, 5, 6, 7, 8, and now we've got every note on that 3rd fret. So we've got loads of fun there. So you've got a lot to be getting on with this week. You know, 1 or 2 fingers, whichever one you feel happy with. Oops, that's the 4th fret. So we're just sticking between frets 1 and 3. And then obviously, you know, sing the notes back to yourself. Have fun with that, you know, explore, experiment, see what cool sounds you can come up with, and, you know, try not to look at your frailing hand. By all means, you know, look at your fretting hand and make a mental note of which string sounds good, because I think the banjo really comes to life when you just play, you know, simple stuff, hitting simple melodies, and like I said, we're blessed with open G, so the banjo is very forgiving in that it's quite difficult to, you know, accidentally play the wrong chord if all we're doing is simple single string fretting. As long as you fret the strings that sound good and avoid the brown envelopes. Oh, I don't like that one. Just stick with the strings that sound good. You can start making some music. So let's just fret the 1st and 2nd strings there at the 3rd fret and just alternate between strings 1 and 2. Bit of a song there, haven't we? I'm in the woods today, chilling with a cold beer. I'm having fun by the little river over there. I'm in my element, giving advice to my friend. That's all that music is, isn't it? It's just chilling, making stuff up, telling a bit of a story, having fun, exploring, and I think that should wrap up this one. So if you're enjoying that, give it a like, and obviously subscribe, click the bell icon as well, and that way you'll be alerted at the next episode when it comes out. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.